Hey guys, Canadian Range Nut here. It is Sunday, May 29th. I just came across this interview with Justice Minister David Lametti. So I'm just going to play the interview for you quickly. Apparently, as of tomorrow, the Liberal federal government is going to come out with some more gun laws, and we kind of predicted this already because of the Texas school shooting. So I'm just going to cut straight to that interview, and then we can talk about it for a little bit after that.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Mercedes Stevenson. The precious faces of 19 little children killed in cold blood in yet another school shooting are etched into all of our minds today. The agony of the parents and the questions about why the unthinkable continues to happen over and over again in America. Here in Canada, we have significantly stronger gun control laws, but it has not always insulated us from gun crime. The federal government has pledged to do more about gun control, but there have been questions about the effectiveness of the proposed measures and whether enough is being done to hold those who commit crimes with a firearm accountable. Joining me now is Justice Minister David Lametti. Thank you so much for joining us today, Minister Lametti. It's nice to see you. Obviously, tragic circumstances that we're talking in, though.
Yeah, look, I grew up near Buffalo, and so that was a tragic set of events. And then what we saw in Texas, again, your heart goes out to the people who are suffering those tragedies, and certainly we're there in solidarity as the people of Canada.
And it's obviously apples and oranges between Canadian and American gun law. Very different up here, far harder to get a firearm. Your government has made additional changes to make that more challenging. You're talking about bringing in more. I won't get into the public safety angle as much with you because I know that's your colleague, Minister Mendicino's job. But I do know one thing that Toronto police are asking for and other police forces have been tougher bail conditions for people who are charged with a firearms offense. Is that something that your government is looking at?
Well, we did major bail reform. It was started by my predecessor, Jody Wilson-Raybould, and then I finished.
So that's basically code for they have no intention of making bail tougher, but let's see what he has to say.
It when I got named minister under Bill C-75. So there were a number of different bail reforms brought in there, and we're still following those as they work through the system. Certainly, we're always open. I'm always open as a minister of justice with the responsibility for the criminal code to look at ways of making the system better. So I'm certainly open. But as I said, we're still watching how that reform on Bill C-75 is working itself through.
Another question that has come up is whether there should be longer, tougher sentences for gun-related crimes. And I know that your government disagrees with mandatory minimums. You're removing that because you say that it is disproportionately affecting Black and Indigenous Canadians. But
so you got to love how they don't want to put in mandatory minimum sentencing, yet they want to come after people who have basically jumped through all of the hoops that us legal gun owners have jumped through. And did you guys notice as well, he didn't even answer the first question about the tougher bail conditions. So anyway, let's keep going.
But what about tougher, longer sentences for people who are involved in, convicted of crimes involving a gun, and in particular trafficking guns in from the United States, which is one of the biggest sources of illegal illegal guns, obviously the crime's illegal, here in Canada?
Well, look, that's certainly an option. We're talking about two different things here. Minimum mandatory penalties are they're at the end of the scale where there isn't often a public safety issue at play. Maximum penalties, serious.
How is there no public safety issue at play if you don't put a person away for a minimum amount of time, or if they get barely any time in jail and they commit a crime with a gun? Where is the deterrent to prevent that person from doing it again? This is why this government is really pathetic, and it seems like everything that comes out of their mouth just seems to be a lie. Let's see how else he spins this.
serious crimes, they get punished seriously. In the previous parliament, in addition to the C-22, which was then the minimum mandatory legislation, we had C-21, which did increase a certain number of maximum penalties for these kinds of gun-related offenses. And certainly that option is still on the table moving forward.
Is that something you're looking at imminently? Because I know your government is planning to potentially bring in legislation as soon as tomorrow. Are these items among that legislation?
Look, I can't obviously preempt what my colleague Minister Mendicino is going to table. There is a notice on the order paper.
So what this means is there's a notice on the order paper that's going to Parliament tomorrow. So that means Mendicino is going to, again, in case you guys are just coming in, it's Sunday, May the 29th today. So Monday, May the 30th, there will be some kind of announcement in Parliament of a new law that's going to be coming into place. But again, he's not answering anything specific. So let's keep listening.
And so that's all I can say to that. But certainly, because it was in a bill in the last Parliament, which died on the order paper, I think it's fair. I think it's fair to say that these kinds of things were discussed again.
The majority of gun crime in Canada involves handguns. Your government has talked about allowing municipalities to ban them. Why not do that as a federal government and put it into the criminal code? Why leave that on mayors? It seems like we have trouble stopping the guns coming in from the U.S. How would we stop them from moving between cities?
Well, look, we certainly have taken measures at the borders. We certainly have taken measures against trafficking as well as against gangs and gang violence in the course of our administration. And Minister Mendicino has led a number of talks. You've alluded to the promise that we made in the last electoral campaign to work with municipalities as an option. Again, I'm not going to preempt what Minister Mendicino has as a matter of cabinet confidence, but I think it's fair to say that this is on the top of the Prime Minister's agenda. It's on the top of Minister Mendicino's agenda, and it's a very, very serious commitment that we made to Canadians.
Okay, so there you have it. Again, it just seems to me like they're never able to answer any of the reporters' questions, just like when other MPs in Parliament ask questions. The one thing I did notice, though, how when they mentioned the minimum mandatory sentencing, how right away he went to the race card. Oh, it targets racial communities. Maybe that's not what's happening. Maybe the crimes that are being committed are in these communities. Maybe because of socioeconomic status, maybe because that's where the gangs are. They never really look at why these crimes are happening, and it's always just an automatic, well, it targets racialized communities. Okay, so maybe we should look at why the crimes are happening in those communities instead of just trying to pad the stats, I guess you could say. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. So I'll put out a video tomorrow, a podcast video tomorrow, as soon as I hear about what these new what the new legislation is going to be in Parliament. And I hope you guys have a good Sunday. We'll talk to you tomorrow.